After all the worlds are erased, Sonic meets up with alternative versions of his acquaintances to destroy the Paradox Prism. Today we will recap the third season of the series, Sonic Prime, from 2023. After the Prism of the Paradox is shattered, Green Hill and other worlds begin to collapse. Wanting to create a perfect reality for himself, Nine steals the fragments and brings them all together on his planet, recreating the Prism of Paradox. As soon as the Nine-Tailed Tails does this, a large pillar appears in the middle of nowhere and a dome forms around it, attracting the nearby portals. In Ghost Hill, Sonic and Shadow talk about what to do when the mountain they're on starts to be sucked up by the prism. To escape alive, the two run at top speed until they cross the crack in the sky, causing the portal to split into a million pieces when they reach the other side. In the Citadel, Nine absorbs the prism's energy and uses this power to create an army of robot servants. Far away, Sonic and Shadow navigate through space until they reach the dimension where Nine is. Seeing the fox, the blue hedgehog asks what he's doing and Nine replies that he wants to turn this world into his paradise, using the prism's energy to recreate the dome. Still, Sonic is confident that he can change his mind and tries to make his speech, saying that they can stabilize the fragments together, but Nine refuses the idea, accusing Sonic of trying to manipulate him. At this point, Nine says he has no time to lose and returns to the Citadel, leaving a robotic copy of Sonic to face the Hedgehog duo. Together, the two speedsters begin to chase the robot, which dodges them both. Although the machine is also fast, the Hedgehogs have a numerical advantage and manage to knock out the robot after a few blows, disconnecting its circuit. After the fight, Sonic asks Nine to give up and he replies that he's just getting started, summoning 4 other alpha robots to the battlefield. Seeing his rivals, Sonic realizes that they are copies of his friends and asks what Nine has done to the real ones, but the fox doesn't answer and begins his attack. Now that they are outnumbered, the Hedgehogs have a hard time in combat and almost get caught several times, but they are still much faster and manage to dodge blows. While Sonic is fighting Amy's copy, Shadow jumps on top of a flying robot and covers its eyes, causing it to collide with the pink Hedgehog clone. Even at a disadvantage, Shadow says he'll take care of the robots and asks Sonic to retrieve the prism, but Nine doesn't make it easy and starts throwing crystals at him, hitting the Hedgehog straight on. With the enemy down, Nine goes to Sonic and starts talking about his plans, saying that he's going to use the speedster's energy to power the prism. Realizing what the villain wants, Shadow tells Sonic to stay safe and generates a hurricane to take him away, but Nine refuses to allow him to escape and fires a huge blast of energy. Unable to escape, Shadow takes advantage of an instability in the dome and throws Sonic into a crevasse, sending him to another world. Furious, Nine makes even more clones and sends some of the flying ones after Sonic, all while gathering the other copies to deal with the black and red Hedgehog. On the other side of the rift, Sonic tries to return to the battlefield when drones appear to stop him. Using the crystals to his advantage, the blue Hedgehog manages to knock down one of the robotic birds and takes advantage of the distraction to hide, entering a portal without the creatures noticing. In New Yoke, Sonic starts looking for help when Nine shows up to reverse gravity, throwing people from side to side. While the Hedgehog is trying to save the population, his friends show up and suggest that he hide in Central, the headquarters of the Chaos Council. Just then, Nine's robot birds appear and Sonic decides to stay behind to distract them while his friends save themselves. Running through the streets of New Yoke, the Hedgehog manages to make 2 birds collide and gain some advantage, but Nine realizes his plan and orders his robots to go to the plant. Wanting to defend his friends, Sonic runs at top speed and ends up trapped, forcing the different versions of the Egghead villain to save their archenemy. With New Yoke on the brink of destruction, the Chaos Council begins to fight back in earnest and manages to blow up one of the cyberpunk robot birds. In addition, the group of villains manage to take down the second bird and start shooting at the third, but they start an argument and let the robot escape. Suddenly, the energy begins to oscillate and Nine's projection disappears. Now that the birds are gone, Sonic's friends meet with the council and join forces to escape. To get them out, the speeding Hedgehog energizes the power station when Nine reappears with the birds. Running at top speed, Sonic creates a barrier that protects everyone, but the world continues to disintegrate. Before leaving through the portal, the Hedgehog counts his friends and discovers that some of them are shipwrecked on a pirate ship. Even though it's risky, Sonic doesn't think twice before going to save them, joining the different versions of Amy to get out of the barrier. Sailing through the ocean, the group finds the wrecked barrel surrounded by birds that swoop down on the group, forcing Rusty, the cyborg version of Amy, to shoot them all with the cannon. During the fight, Sonic falls into the sea and runs through the water until he reaches the ship, slamming into one of the birds that is about to hit one of the versions of Big the Cat. Even so, the birds are outnumbered and manage to capture Sonic, trapping him on the deck as he prepares to fire. Before the creature shoots, Cyborg Amy fires a shot at the bird, which falls into the ocean. As soon as they get close enough, they open the jet's cargo compartment to let their friends in, but the cat stays behind and Thorn has to go out with Birdie to distract the enemies. While Sonic is trying to encourage his friend, one of the birds almost hits the cat, who has to be saved by the blue hedgehog. Mounted on Birdie, Sonic manages to distract the robot so that Rusty can finish him off with a cannon shot. With New Yoke on the verge of collapse, the group advances towards the portal, but the robots are still after them, forcing the Chaos Council to intervene. Together, heroes and villains destroy the last robots and speed towards the rift, but 9 is watching and refuses to allow them to escape, using the prism's energy to hit the ship's engine. As if that wasn't bad enough, 9 hits the second turbine, sending the jet plummeting towards the water. At the last second, the Chaos Council ship appears to help and manages to prevent them from sinking, acting as a support until the engines start working again. Even so, 9 doesn't give up and fires another blast of energy that almost knocks Sonic out, but his friends are quicker and manage to save him. In this way, the two ships manage to escape the dimension and remain within the Chaos Council's barrier until they decide their next move. The group begins to discuss what to do and Sonic says he's going to give himself up, but his friends refuse to allow it, saying they'll fight to the end. Ignoring what they say, Sonic calls 9 and tells him he's going to turn himself in, causing the evil Tails to open a portal where he is. In place, 9 approaches to capture the hedgehog when his boot begins to glow. Suddenly, a bolt of energy breaks through the dome and all of Sonic's allies appear for the final battle. Enraged, 9 feels he has been betrayed and prepares for the big battle, erecting the Citadel and using the prism's energy to create an army of clones. Before the battle begins, Rebel goes up to Sonic and says that 9 has set this up to absorb his energy, so he should stay back. After agreeing, Sonic makes one last speech and asks his friends to prepare for battle, shouting for everyone to advance towards the enemy. Fighting together, 2 copies of Knuckles hit the ground with such force that it creates a shockwave that knocks the heroes to the ground. In the air, Rusty and Thorn fight the flying creatures and end up crashing into the Chaos Council's ship. Looking around, Sonic sees that no one can work as a team and that's why they're losing. While watching the battle, 9 sees 2 versions of Tails and says that only he can exist, ordering his robots to exterminate the foxes. Upon realizing the villain's plan, the 2 animals activate a bomb that blows up everyone in the blast radius, including themselves. Thinking that this will make Sonic furious, 9 orders his soldiers to clear the way for the hedgehog to come to him, but instead, the speeding hedgehog manages to stay calm and says that they should start working together. To do this, Rebel says they should split up into teams that are used to working together and divide pirates and marauders. As the 2 groups advance towards the prism, the population of New Yoke distracts the robots. Putting the plan into practice, the mothership begins its attack and breaks through the Citadel wall, making room for the others to reach the prism. As soon as he realizes this, 9 creates dozens of clones of the alphas who go after the heroes at once, but are easily defeated by the New Yoke characters, who finally manage to fight together. Taking advantage of the distraction, the group of looters advance towards the prism, only to be met by some of Amy's clones. While fighting the robots, the primitive Knuckles ends up being cornered and almost knocked out, but Thorn appears at the last second to save him, taking over the fight. Suddenly, Sonic runs past the robots and lures them closer to his friends, who finish off the machines. Advancing from the other side, the pirates also try to approach the prism when they are found by the robots, but Sonic manages to get the machines' attention. While advancing towards the Citadel, the cat sees one of the robots heading towards Sonic and jumps in front of it, sacrificing himself to save his friend. Soon after, Captain Dread appears and crushes the robots with extreme ease. Realizing that they are sacrificing themselves for Sonic, 9 decides to change strategy and redirects the Citadel's energy to create a gigantic copy of Big the Cat. Now that he has a colossal war tank, 9 fires a bomb that hits Sonic square in the face. As if that wasn't enough, 9 fires a burst of rockets at the heroes in the mothership, destroying Eggman's cannons. Now that the vehicle is vulnerable, the flying clones approach to take it down, but Rusty refuses to let this happen and starts shooting at the robotic birds. On the ground, Big focuses on Sonic and starts moving towards him. Upon realizing this, Dr. Eggman takes the opportunity to send all his robots at the Colossus, but the machines are easily defeated and Big changes targets, launching hundreds of rockets in the young man's direction. With Big about to annihilate his friends, Sonic decides to go on the offensive and ends up taking a blow that sends him flying. When he gets up, the hedgehog is surrounded by several robot clones and ends up taking a beating. Wanting to save time, Sonic flees across the battlefield while the looters advance on the Citadel. To prevent him from escaping, 9 begins to absorb energy from the prism for a big attack, but this ends up reducing the power of the cartoon Mechagodzilla, allowing one of the Knuckles versions to dent Big's bodywork. Without realizing any of this, 9 fires an attack that opens a crack in the ground, causing Sonic to fall while he's being beaten by the robotic clone. With that done, 9 refocuses his energy on Big, who continues to destroy Sonic's friends. In the crevice, the blue hedgehog is about to take the final blow when Shadow appears to save him. Now that they're a duo, the two hedgehogs have a real fight on their hands and compete to see who can eliminate the most copies of Sonic. After most of them have been defeated, the blue hedgehog talks about the plan to invade the Citadel, and Shadow says that it won't work because the alpha robots are protecting the prism. In the air, Black Rose's ship is hit and begins to fall, forcing her and Rusty to eject. In midair, the girls fight some birds and manage to defeat several of them. Nearby, Thorn sees the two falling and uses Birdie to save them, taking them to the mothership, where they fight even more robots. On the battlefield, Big continues to attack his allies without caring about anything else, but the mothership's cannons start working again and Robotnik fires a super blast that destroys the metallic kaiju. Furious, 9 strikes back with a blast that knocks down the mothership. After expending so much energy, 9 becomes exhausted and the dome begins to shrink, reducing the combat area. With time running out, Sonic gathers the group and 9 sends the alphas out to fight, multiplying the robots non-stop. While the real hedgehog tries to help his friends, Shadow faces the dark copy of Sonic Alpha in a duel, but ends up at a disadvantage. In the air, Grandpa Robotnik ends up being hit by the birds and his ship also crashes, hitting the Citadel hard. Seeing his friends being defeated one by one, Sonic rushes to the top of the Citadel and goes all out on 9, hitting him with a super hard punch. Still, Sonic says they can work things out without fighting, but 9 refuses, saying he'll absorb the prism's energy inside the hedgehog. The fox then says that Sonic's friends can't help anymore and calls his robots to eliminate him. Even outnumbered, the hedgehog is much faster and manages to defeat the robot birds, forcing 9 to divert more energy from the prism to his tails. As a result, the dome shrinks again and the robots on the battlefield start to shut down. Despite this, 9 manages to fire several energized projectiles that knock Sonic out of the Citadel. When it's about to hit the ground, the hedgehog's boot connects to the prism's energy and creates a platform so that it doesn't hit the ground. With this new ability, Sonic runs back to the top of the Citadel while destroying the robots along the way. With the glove, the hedgehog creates a shield that blocks all of 9's projectiles, turning the game in his favor. While 9 gets more and more tired, Sonic is still full of energy and runs through the air while hitting the orange fox. Exhausted, 9 practically runs out of energy, but he doesn't give up fighting and continues absorbing energy from the prism until he deactivates all the robots. As soon as this happens, Sonic's friends rise up and destroy them all, revealing that this was the plan all along, to make 9 think he's won and forget about the robot army. After absorbing even more energy, 9's tails become fully energized and he tries one last attack on Sonic, speeding up the ruin of the multiverse. With all this power, he rebuilds the robots and attacks the blue hedgehog again with full energy. Wanting to put an end to everything once and for all, 9 orders the alphas to destroy Sonic, forcing his allies to run after the robots. Working together, Shadow and the others manage to stop the alphas, but 9 remains determined to destroy them and rebuilds the robots time after time. When he realizes this, Sonic says he can't go on like this and says he's going to destroy all the worlds, but 9 ignores him and insists on attacking him. Outside the Citadel, Knuckles decides to help Sonic and lands a punch that almost makes the fox faint, but 9 manages to get up and attacks the echidna with his robots. At the bottom, Big gets up and advances with the other machines, but when they are almost there, the giant robot turns on the robots and fires rocket bursts that destroy them all. Suddenly, the two versions of Tails appear inside the Big and reveal that they managed to escape the explosion unharmed. With this reinforcement, they manage to destroy the alphas and make the other robots disappear. At the top of the Citadel, Knuckles goes on the offensive and almost manages to break 9's energy shield. Realizing that the dome is shrinking even more, Sonic asks Knuckles to stop and suggests talking to 9 one last time, but the fox doesn't accept and releases a wave of energy that throws them both away. Outside the Citadel, Black Rose fights with her alpha version and ends up at a disadvantage, forcing Captain Dread to help her. Even together, the two can't defeat the robot and Rusty shows up to help. In a cyborg versus android fight, the two versions face off and the robot gets the upper hand, but soon Rusty manages to fight back and steals the alpha version's sledgehammer, throwing it against the dome. Near the Citadel, Shadow continues to fight the Alpha Sonic, but is knocked down. Thinking he has won, the robot leaves the battlefield and goes to help 9, But Shadow is not yet defeated and manages to destroy everyone with one final blow. Using what little energy he has left, 9 fires a shock blast that immobilizes Knuckles and Shadow. After blocking it with his shield, Sonic goes after the fox and ends up falling on top of the prism. Even down below, the fox continues to attack the hedgehog, who tries to make amends by dodging its blows while apologizing. Suddenly, Shadow and the others appear and tell 9 to give up, but Sonic is still determined to end the conflict and apologizes for everything. Moved by his words, 9 says that he is sorry for what he has done, but that there is no way to reverse the destruction without a great sacrifice. Without thinking twice, Sonic decides to use his energy to stabilize the prism. Fearing that the hedgehog wouldn't survive, 9 turns on the extractor, which begins to absorb the energy, leaving Sonic so weak that he can't even stand up. Despite this, the prism of the paradox remains stable and the other worlds are recovered. Running out of time, 9 suggests taking Sonic back to Green Hill, but the Chaos Council refuses to allow this to happen, saying that they will take the prism to New Yoke. While talking about their plans, the different versions of the Robotnik realize that they have different fates for the power of the prism and start fighting each other. Taking advantage of the distraction, 9 goes to the computer and opens a portal to another dimension, allowing Shadow and the others to trap everyone there. With Sonic's existence about to be erased, the 9-tailed fox uses the prism to make the portals to the other worlds reappear, destroying the artifact in the process. Racing against time, Thorn puts Sonic on top of Birdie and begins to carry him to the portal, but the bird ends up having its wing broken by a rock that hits it. At that moment, Black Rose arrives with his ship and starts to take them towards the portal, but the vehicle can't take it either and Shadow decides to take on the mission, picking Sonic up and jumping over the rocks until he reaches the portal. In this way, the 2 hedgehogs manage to reach the portal and Sonic returns to the moment when the prism collapsed, fighting alongside his friends to defeat Eggman. Suddenly, Shadow appears with one of the Chaos Gems and knocks the prism away, forcing the Egghead to retreat. Now that everything is at peace, Sonic takes advantage of the moment with his friends to eat hot dogs, but the peace doesn't last long and soon a new confrontation begins. So what did you think of this series? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more series recaps. See you next time.